Moses said to Pharaoh that he would come back again and demand in the name of God that Pharaoh let the Israelites go. Each time that Pharaoh said no, Moses warned him that God would send a plague on the Egyptians, and eventually you're going to let them go because you're not going to be able to take the plagues anymore. So Moses came back to Pharaoh, said, "Let my people go," says God. Pharaoh says no. The first time God and Moses turned the water of the Nile River into blood. All the fish died and the river stank. Now, the Pharaoh's magicians were also able to do this with their secret arts. Second time Pharaoh refused to let the Israelites go, God and Moses sent a plague of frogs in Egypt. Frogs got into the people's houses, were everywhere in Egypt, but they left the Israelites alone. Now the Pharaoh's magicians were also able to do this too. Now the third time that Pharaoh said no, when Moses said, God said, let my people go, God and Moses sent a plague of gnats or little flies all over the Egyptians. Now from this point on, the Pharaoh's magicians could not do any of the plagues or miracles that God did. They were able to do the first two, but they could not do these other 8 or anything after. So the fourth time Pharaoh said no, God had Moses send a plague of flies on the Egyptians, but not the Israelites. The fifth time Pharaoh said no, all the livestock the Egyptians died, such as their cows, horses, and cattle, and camels. But the livestock the Israelites were fine, they were untouched. Sixth time Pharaoh said no, God sent a plague of boils and sores on the skin of just the Egyptian people. And the magicians had boils and sores on them. They were so painful, they couldn't even stand in the presence of Moses. They ran and hid because the ones who did the first 2 miracles were now in so much pain from the plague that they were completely useless. The seventh time the Pharaoh said no, God had Moses send huge hail on Egypt, and it killed any person or animal that was outside. The eighth time Pharaoh said no, he wouldn't let them go. God and Moses sent a plague of locusts or grasshoppers. They were all over the Egyptians, but they left the Israelites alone. The ninth time Pharaoh said no, God and Moses sent 3 days of complete darkness over Egypt. They said it was so dark it was painful. You couldn't see anything. But the Israelites had lights in their home during this plague from God. Now, with each time God sent a plague through Moses, Pharaoh would come to Moses and say, I've sinned against your God. Please, I'll let the Israelites go if you ask your God to stop this plague. If he stops this plague, I'll let them go. Each time Moses would go to God and say, please stop the plague, and God would stop the plague. But after each time, Pharaoh's heart would become hardened, it says, and he would change his mind and say, I will not let the Israelites go. That's in Exodus chapter 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now, it says in the Bible clearly that God was the one that hardened Pharaoh's heart each time to make it so he would say, no, I changed my mind. I won't let the Israelites go. Why would God do that? If God is trying to get the Israelites out and Pharaoh agrees to it, why would God change his heart and harden it so that he would say, you know what, I'm not letting them go? I'm not sure. It doesn't say in the Bible, but I can have a good guess. Because each time Pharaoh said no, it would cause God to do another plague that Moses asked him to do. And the Israelites saw this. This allowed the Israelites to witness 10 plagues that Moses asked for and God did, and then Moses said stop and God would stop, to show clearly he is God. He is God. And there's other ones. You'll see there's 4 others after the plagues, and the Israelites saw all these. And 2 big reasons. They would know first he was God and he could do this. Second, you'll see next week how quickly the Israelites, after seeing God, and we're going to count up, do 14 spectacular miracles in front of them. Right after that, how quickly they turn away from him and walk away from God and make a golden calf to worship. And you'll see the Israelites do this again and again and again, that very quickly they turn around and walk away from God. Why is that important? Again, the reason why all this in the Bible, first of all, it's true stories, but what can we learn from it? Well, what can we take from it? We're supposed to learn. We're supposed to read the Bible so we can learn from it. How often do we turn away from God? How often when God does something good, oh, God, I love you, and as soon as things get bad, we turn away. Or when things are going good and we think we don't need him. Point is, it shows us, the Israelites show us how easy it is for man to walk away from God and the consequences that happens. And when people follow God, the benefits they get. Okay, so we're supposed to learn from this. Next is the Passover. The final plague, the 10th plague, was the worst one. God had Moses tell Pharaoh that if he